Welcome to the I9 Sports Chicago Flag Football Rules webinar. This will give you the basics of our rules, but should you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The agenda for today, we're just going to go over some of the basics of how our fields are laid out, how the game is structured, some specifics for our rules, and penalties that go along with that. So with our league, we have 4 different levels. All right, we have Pee Wee, which are the youngest kids, juniors, seniors, and super seniors, which are our oldest group. And they are based on, the rules are slightly different for each level based on what we find is age appropriate, and each have a few variations in the rules, which I will point out when it is relevant. The biggest one that you will find is the Pee Wees. They have a few more rules. Once you get down to the juniors, seniors, and super seniors, they're very similar and almost identical, except for like as far as quarterback rushing numbers. But for the most part, Pee Wee is the one that's going to be with the most modifications. All right, so our field layout is like similar to a typical football field with the 2 end zones, right? And for Pee Wee flag football fields may be cut in half and only go one way depending on the venue. But in this game, the offensive team plays for a first down at midfield and a touchdown in the end zone. So here is the midfield marker you'll see, and that is to get a first down. So if a team is, let's say, going this way, they need to get here in 4 plays to get a first down. All right. Running and passing plays are allowed, although there are no run zones. Okay. So the no run zones are if a team, again, let's say they're going this way to get a first down, if they are within this area of a no run zone, that means that they must pass the ball to get a first down. Okay? Same if they make it here and they get before the end zone, they have the ball within this no run zone. Again, they must pass to score a touchdown. All right? The no run zones are designated by a yellow cone, so you'll see them, on the field here, 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 and here. And they are designed to avoid short yardage power running situations to help keep the kids safe. The one change here is for the Pee Wee group. They do not have any no run zone. So even if the team is in here, they can run the ball at that Pee Wee level. All right. As far as coaches allowed on the field, for Pee Wees, 2 coaches are allowed on the field. For juniors, seniors, and super seniors, only 1 coach is allowed. And a lot of coaches, once they get to the senior and super senior levels, opt to stay on the sidelines anyways. All right. The defensive team covers receivers, rushes the passer, and grabs the flags to make tackles. The offensive team takes possession of the ball at its own 5-yard line. All right. So the offensive team, let's say that if they're going this way, they will take the ball here and have 4 downs to get to the first down marker. All right. If the offensive team fails to cross midfield, possession of the ball changes, and the opposing team will then start its drive from its 5-yard line here, going this way. Okay. Regardless, if they don't make it, then the offensive team always starts on their own 5-yard line, except with interceptions. All right, so if a team intercepts the ball and their flag is pulled, they get the ball at the point of where their flag was pulled. Okay, interceptions can also be run back for touchdowns. If a team scores, okay, team's going this way, they score, touchdown, they can choose to go for 1 or 2 points for an extra point. Okay, the 1 point will be here at the no run zone marker. Okay, and then the 2-point conversion is farther back. The one thing for if they're a junior, senior, super senior level, if they opt to go for 1 point, they are within the no run zone, so they must pass to get a 1 point conversion. Again, there are no kickoffs, there are no blocking of any kind, and no flag guarding, which I will get into later. Teams play with 5 athletes on the field in our outdoor leagues and 6 players for our indoor leagues. Teams must have at least essentially 4 players on their team at a game in the outdoor leagues and 5 players at least in the indoor leagues. If they do not have that many players on the team for that game, it will be counted as a forfeit. Teams still can play with less, or they can, mix up teams, mix up players to even out the teams, but on the in the scorebook and the standings, it would be counted as a forfeit if the team cannot bring in that many players. So for times, as far as half times, how long the games are, they may vary depending on the location, but for the most part, our Pee Wee levels will have 14-minute halves, juniors are 16-minute halves, and seniors are 18 minutes, super seniors 20 minutes. And it is a running clock. The clock will only stop in the final minute of the second half. And that's only based on the following situations, basically a dead ball. If there's an incomplete pass, they run out of bounds, if there's an injury or a timeout during that last minute. The offense has 30 seconds to snap the ball. Okay, teams will get a warning before a delay of game penalty 5 yards is enforced. Each team does have 1 2-minute timeout per half. These do not carry over, and there is no overtime. If it is a tie, it goes in as a tie. We also have what is called a sportsmanship rule. And this is to keep the games competitive, but also not to humiliate a losing team if they're losing by a lot. We have a sportsmanship rule where if a team has a lead of 20 points or greater in the second half, the following rules will apply. The leading team is no longer allowed to rush the quarterback. They can not return interceptions for additional yardage, so the ball would just be blown dead. And if that team intercepts, the team that is winning, they will start back at their own 5-yard line, and they can only go for a 1-point conversion after a touchdown. They also cannot call timeouts. Our specific running rules is that when a ball is snapped, first off, the center must snap the ball between their legs, like a traditional football rule. This is different for Pee-wees. They can snap the ball off to the side because a lot of times it can be difficult for the young ones to snap between their legs. There are no fumbles, meaning the defense cannot recover the ball and take possession if the offensive team fumbles the ball. The ball will just be spotted where it hits the ground on the fumble for that offensive team. Pee-wee divisions, the one difference, they can continue play on a fumbled snap. Multiple handoffs are allowed, and laterals and pitches are allowed, but only behind the line of scrimmage. The player who takes a handoff can throw the ball if it's pitched to them behind the line of scrimmage or handed off. They can throw the ball from behind the line of scrimmage. And once the ball has been handed off, all defensive players are eligible to run in and pull the flag. That is different except for the Pee-wee group, which I will talk about in a minute. Spinning is allowed, so players can spin to avoid getting their flag pulled, but they cannot leave their feet to avoid a defense. So they can't jump up in the air or dive. And one difference, to traditional football, the ball is spotted where the ball carrier's feet are when the flag is pulled, not where the ball is, like we're used to in the NFL. And if the ball carrier's flag falls off, that can happen. Even if they're not being pulled, the play should be, the whistle should blow and the ball is placed where their flag fell off and where their feet were at that time. The quarterback cannot run with the ball past the line of scrimmage, so they need to either hand the ball off or throw the ball forward. And center sneak plays are not allowed, meaning the center needs to snap the ball back, and then the quarterback cannot put the ball back in between the center's legs to then run the ball. That is not allowed. For our receiving rules, all players are eligible to receive passes, okay? This includes the center, this includes the quarterback if the ball has been handed off behind the line of scrimmage. So everybody's eligible, an eligible receiver. Only one player is allowed in motion at a time. Players need to have at least 1 foot in bounds when making a reception. So this is more of the college rules there. And if a player's flag falls off while the player is running a route and catches the ball, that's where the ball is then spotted for the next play. If the player's flag is pulled early by the defense intentionally and they catch the ball, that play does stand, and it's a 5-yard penalty from the spot of the catch also for the offense. For passing, passes behind the line of scrimmage, if they pass the ball forward and it doesn't go past the line of scrimmage, it is considered a run play. The only reason why that may be important is in no-run zones. If you're in a no-run zone, the ball must be passed past the line of scrimmage to be considered a pass. Laterals, again, are okay behind the line of scrimmage only. The quarterback must pass the ball within 7 seconds of the snap. The referee should be counting, for 7 seconds. If they don't pass the ball, then the referee will blow the ball dead, and that is a loss of down. Now, the one difference for peewees, the ball must advance past the line of scrimmage within 7 seconds of the snap. And we'll talk about why that is important later, but really it's because no one can rush the running back or quarterback in the peewee level until they cross the line of scrimmage, but they must do that within 7 seconds. So for example, for the peewees, they have the ball, the offensive team, the defense cannot rush in past this line of scrimmage until, let's say this running back gets the ball and he runs up until he crosses that line of scrimmage, then the defense can then come in and pull the flag. Now for rushing the quarterback, outside of the peewees, a player who rushes the passer must be a minimum of 10 yards from the line of scrimmage where the ball is snapped. All right, the referee, so in this case the referee should be back here, they should be 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So that means the person, whoever's rushing, needs to be up with where the referee is, like these two defensive players are, or behind the referee. They then are eligible rushers, and that means that they can rush the quarterback once the ball is snapped. Okay, they don't need to wait around. Players not rushing the quarterback may defend on the defensive line of scrimmage until the ball is handed off or passed by the quarterback. Once the ball is handed off or thrown, any of these defensive players can come in. Okay, once the ball is handed off, if the quarterback gives it to the running back, they can all run in. Okay. But remember, no blocking or tackling is allowed. When it comes to the major difference with the divisions is this rushing rule. So for the peewee divisions, there is no rushing beyond the line of scrimmage. They must wait for the runner to pass. Okay, so I'll go over that just a minute. So again, rushers must be a minimum of 10 yards behind. And once the ball is handed off or thrown, the 10-yard rule is no longer in effect. So the differences with these divisions, so peewees, no rushing is allowed. They got to wait for the runner to pass the line of scrimmage. For juniors, you can have 1 rusher, seniors 2, and super seniors, you can have an unlimited amount. Okay, so for defensive penalties, again, almost all of these can be declined by the offense if they choose to and the play is continued. But if not, for offsides, it's 5 yards and repeat the down. Illegal contact would be like holding or blocking. It's 5 yards. An illegal flagpole, this would be, before the receiver has the ball, they pull their flag, whether they catch the ball or drop the ball. If they catch the ball, it is a 5 yard penalty from the spot of the catch. An illegal rush would be like starting to rush from inside the 10 yard marker, would be 5 yards. Illegal substitution, so players enter the field after the ball is blown ready for play, or too many people on the field. And pass interference is the only one that's a 10 yard penalty, and that's automatic first down. For offensive penalties, delay of game, if they don't snap the ball within 30 seconds, it's 5 yards. Substitutions, illegal substitution, 5 yards. Illegal motion, which means more than one person moving at a time, 5 yards. False start. Offensive pass interference, 5 yards and loss of down. Charging is when a runner cannot charge into an opponent in his or her path. So the runner must try to avoid contact by changing directions. If they don't and just run through somebody, that's a 5 yard penalty. And then flag guarding. This is carrying, keeping an arm close to the flag in an effort to guard or stiff arm. So anytime you're trying to guard your flag, that is a 5 yard penalty from the spot of the foul and a loss of down. So also, if there's any spot foul penalties that occur in the end zone, that ends up a safety. All right, for unsportsmanship and roughing penalties, there's absolutely no trash talking. If a referee or field monitor referee witnesses any trash talking, tackling, elbowing, cheap shots, blocking, or any sportsmanlike act, the game will be stopped. Automatic 10 yard penalty. The player will be given a warning, and the second time will be ejected from the game. Okay, foul play will not be tolerated. For coaching, there are unsportsmanlike penalties. Coaches may politely conference with an official. However, any type of yelling or badgering of the official will not be tolerated. The official's call on the field will be final, and if there are concerns, the coaches can be addressed. They can address us, the league office, following the Monday morning protocol. So we just ask if coaches have issues with rules or referee, they wait until Monday morning to reach out to us. Okay, violations of this, and really it's up to official discretion. They can either get a warning or a 15 yard penalty, and then if this continues a second time, that'll be followed by an ejection from the game and possibly for the remainder of the season, depending on the league office's discretion. And finally, the last rule and the most important rule is to have fun. And that's why we're all here. So thank you for joining us for this webinar, and please reach out if you have any questions.